Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're just in time because I'd like to introduce you to the executive judge of the AMVCAs. He's an award-winning filmmaker, producer, and co-founder and director of I Represent International Documentary Film Forum. Welcome, Femi Odugbemi.
Thank you.
How are you?
I am doing well. Delighted to be here.
Good to see you. Now, Femi, you've been with the AMVCAs from its inception. That's 2013. What has been the difference? Have there been any changes in the submissions over the years?
Well, there's great growth in terms of the enthusiasm of the filmmakers, of the audiences, and of course in terms of the quality of the films. 3 years ago or 2 years ago, the very first AMVCA, the entries were only just about 380. Last year there was growth.
Wow.
There was 1,500 entries.
And this year?
And this year, amazingly, there are 2,011 entries. It speaks to the acceptance of these awards. It speaks to the integrity, the trust people have in the MVCA.
Yeah.
And it also speaks to the enthusiasm of the filmmakers to imbibe the goal of the MVCA, which is to promote excellence.
Okay.
So I'm very excited about the quality of the entries. I'm very, very excited about the nominees, and I'm very sure that the audiences are looking forward to these announcements.
Yeah, I mean, the energy has been building. Everybody's looking forward to next year and the AMVCAs. What has been the feedback from people who've won from last year?
Well, I think the MVCA changes everything for a filmmaker and for a storyteller, simply because you are encouraged, you've got the incentive to go for excellence.
Yes.
And beyond that, there is economic reward, because your
Financial.
film travels, your story travels farther than you can take it by yourself. So I'm very sure that, you know, the experience of previous winners is encouraging people to enter the films and hope to win an MVCA.
Yes, we want to clear that misconception that it's actually a Nigerian awards. It's actually an Africa-wide awards. There's so many entries coming in from all over Africa, correct?
Well, the entries are from all over Africa, but the winners have also been from all over Africa.
Exactly.
The very first AMVCA, South African films were the star of that season. And last year, Nairobi Half-Life from Kenya.
Oh no, Nick is getting very excited about that.
Was a big winner. So I'm very excited to see, you know, how filmmakers do from across Africa this year.
Okay. Well, I mean, who exactly are you? Well, I can't exactly ask you that. I wanted to ask you, what has been one thing that's been improved the most?
I think the cinematic language is very compelling.
Okay.
And I think the stories and the themes that we see in the films this year are stronger. I mean, they're addressing big issues like history, like politics, like culture. And I think that just speaks to, you know, the maturity of our filmmakers.
That's awesome.
You know, over the last few years.
Good thing I didn't get you in trouble there, Femi. Femi, let's talk a little bit about the new addition to the AMVCAs in the Best Indigenous Language category, Igbo, correct?
Yes.
Now, how are the Igbo movie producers reacting to this decision?
Well, I hope it's excitement, because the entries do say they're very excited to be part of the MVCA. But I think, you know, it's a deserved recognition of the growth in the Igbo film industry. Language should not be a limitation for creativity. And the Igbo film producers are making some very good work.
Doing a stunning job, aren't they?
Really good work.
On that note, is there any plans on having any other languages come into the MVCAs next year?
Well, I suppose as the industry expands, the MVCA is all-inclusive, it's very inclusive. So as the different areas and different sides of the industry grows, they will be incorporated into the MVCA.
Nice stuff. Thank you so much, Femi. I'm actually very excited about that.
Oh, man, so am I. Cheers, man.
Now, Femi, I know you're a keen photographer.
Yes.
Would you say that the change in technology impacted on the cinematography this year?
Definitely. Definitely. I mean, the cinematography for lots of the entries, and particularly for the nominees, can only be described as opulent.
Wow.
I really, really was very impressed with how creative, how resourceful the films reflected the work of the cinematographers. Beyond that, you know, the use of light is something that I always find very fascinating when you've got someone, an artist, you know, who's really trying to create something. So I think it's very exciting that now we're doing bolder and bolder things in our cinema. We're beginning to take on chases. We're doing car crashes. I mean, it's just really very exciting how much African cinema.
And we're doing it well.
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm really quite proud of the quality of some of these things that we're doing now.
Would you say it's because of bigger budgets, or people are coming up with more inventive ways to actually create the same kind of effects that you get outside?
Well, I think it's a combination of both.
Okay.
I think we all recognize that, you know, bigger budgets give you, you know, creative latitude. But beyond that, you can actually see resourcefulness. You can see planning. You can see, you know, stories that are more challenging. And I think those are really, those are where the difference really are.
Okay.
That our filmmakers are also putting more time in planning.
Yes.
You know, so there's ambition, and I think that's been the major effect of the AMVC over the last three years.
Okay. What would you say is the one thing that's going to push us to the next level with regards to cinematography?
Well, I think technology is doing a lot to help us, but training is going to be the difference. And you can tell the films that you know are nominated in this category have cinematographers who have actually taken the time to train, taking the time to up their skills, taking the time to familiarize themselves with technology. And I think that's always going to be the difference, where we find that space where creativity meets technology.
Definitely.
I think we can all agree on one thing, that African film is going far. Isn't that right, Femi?
Africa is on the march.
Thank you very much. Now, for more information on the processes and rules, please log on to africamagic.tv. Now, don't touch that remote or you might miss the nominees for the best comedy. We'll be right back.
I am too. I think the judges did a phenomenal job. Phenomenal.
Femi, what do you think?
Well, I think the filmmakers are the ones that have really done a phenomenal job. The films that are nominated in the Best Director category have very strong stories, very deep connection to the audiences, and of course, compelling performances. I think the directors have been very bold. They have been, they've taken on big challenges, and that I think is what stands out, the films that are nominated in the Best Director.
Yeah. Femi, would you say that these directors are now telling the African story as compared to previous years? Well,
I think they are telling stories that connect to the African experience.
Okay.
I think they also brought glamour to the history, to the background, to the African experience itself in such a way that we can be proud. And I think that's really what's making their films very successful and very compelling, because there is an emotional connection to the audience when you watch these films. They're really, really taking us farther than where we've come in terms of cinematic appeal and cinematic interpretation of our story.
Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't envy his job at all. What was the process and the criteria required for you to shortlist?
Well, the AMVCA, first and foremost, judges that come from all across Africa to do the shortlisting, the initial shortlisting. And from 2011 films, you have to understand that, you know, it's a pretty tight and very difficult work. But I do think there is an X factor. There are films that connect with an audience emotionally. There are films that take on very big themes. There are films that have compelling performances. There are films whose stories are untold. And I think those are the things that stand out, the films that get nominated. Besides the technical issues of script writing, you know, the cinematic interpretations, the audio, the technical bits have to be there, obviously. But any film that's actually nominated would have obviously satisfied the criteria.
Kudos to the directors
level.
for actually being strong enough to actually make that decision and do those kind of bold moves. Now tell me about how would this change a director's life once they win the AMVCAs? Well,
it turns you into a brand.
Yes.
And I think that's the most important thing. In a creative industry so large, distinction gives you a name, and it gives you a platform, and it gives you the opportunity to be able to keep doing what you love doing, which is making film.
What kind of advice would you have for any young up-and-coming director who wants to take over the continent?
I say be bold. Be bold. Find the untold story. I mean, don't be regular. And when you find that story, reach deeply for the emotional connection to the audience and tell it compellingly.
Thank you so much, Femi.
Passionate stuff.
You're welcome.
And Femi, thank you so much for joining us in our Johannesburg studio and giving us the insight that we needed.
Yes.
Now, together we celebrate the heroes of African film and television, and we look forward to seeing you all again next year in Lagos at the prestigious AMVCA 2015 live gala event, where the winners will be announced.
Definitely. Thank you to our auditors, Sizwe, Saluba, Gabodo, for verifying the judging process and results, and thank you for watching. From myself and Nick, good night, Africa.
See you in Lagos, Africa.